Welcome back. You're watching Luck on Sunday. Time now in the company of Neil Channing, Rafe Beckett and Dennis Hogan for this week's Talking Points. There's a lot, but 7 is our maximum. We're going to be strict on time. No overruns like last week. 2 minutes a topic. We will start. We've done most of it already, but we talk again about Oisin Murphy, champion jockey. What is the future for him now, do you think, Rafe, in terms of... He said, I only rode 2 Group 1 winners this season, and I'm judged on calibre of success rather than quantity of success. Is that going to shift his priority or not?
I doubt it. I think that's just symptomatic of what the horses he was getting on, you know, where his firepower was coming from. I don't think that the fact that he only rode 2 Group 1 winners is relevant at all.
Isn't it kind of impossible to be champion and ride loads of Group 1 winners?
Well, maybe not in his case.
I don't know about that. I don't have a view on that really, Neil, but I think he's probably just talking himself down a bit, you know, so I wouldn't pay any attention to that, personally.
I suppose it's a delicate balance, isn't it, between talking yourself up on one hand and talking yourself down on the other hand to try and keep your game up.
Yeah, I think that's what makes him so good. He's probably hard on himself, a bit critical of himself. He's probably his own critic, and that's what makes him good. It gives him the drive on. He never thinks he's doing good enough, so he can keep stepping up. But yeah, I would say there was weekends there. I think the Irish Champions weekend. I think I remember him saying he had the option. There was going to be the option of going to France. Was it Hong Kong or somewhere? And there was something on in stateside as well. And there was Ireland. Like, there was so many options for group races. So it's very hard to get on to be on the right horse when you have that many options, you know. But two Group 1s is not bad.
We saw it with Ryan Moore yesterday. Amazingly, not going to Champions Day and going down under for 10 sovereigns. That surprised me.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been probably not the nicest trip home after the way he ran. At the same time, you take the chances. I'm sure there'll be other days for 10 sovereigns and he'll be on them, so it probably works both ways.
Well, there we are. We covered it pretty extensively earlier in the programme. And again, Oisin Murphy, champion jockey, congratulations. Right, last week we said, what's best next for Enable? The consensus of opinion was, I think, retire. They haven't. They've gone on, which is great, which is fantastic for the sport. She'll race on as a 6-year-old. But what kind of campaign should she have, Rafe, if she's going to race at 6?
Where would you start? A Coronation Cup, or Prince of Wales, I suppose. Clips again. I don't know.
I suppose the question is, have they
back from the Arc?
Is it the Arc, don't you? I mean, 6 to 1 was it for the Arc? Didn't that seem like quite a big price?
I don't know. It depends. Do you think she can get any better?
Well, did she have to?
She was beaten in it this year, and she might have been beaten in it last year. With
she wasn't
Sea of Class
far this year. It wasn't like she was hammered, though, was it?
But she was beaten. So I think 6 to 1 is I don't think it's that generous a price.
I thought it was reasonably tempting as these things go, although it's a long way away, and she's a mare that has to perhaps be wrapped up a little bit.
And is it conclusively good for the sport that she stays in training?
I think so. I think, sport's about racing horses, and the greater the strength and depth, the better it is for the sport. So I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I was just as surprised as you, I have to say.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I didn't think, but clearly she came out of it very well, and clearly, she's giving all the right signals to go again, and she can only produce 1 foal a year. It's not like a stallion. It's completely the inverse. And so I think it makes very good sense. In actual fact, what she won this year, how much money she won, as Denny Grimthorpe pointed out, she still won £1 million the other day.
Exactly. What about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I think it was a shock that she stayed in training. I just presumed, listening to the papers and everything else, that she was definitely her last race, the Arc. But it's great. It's brilliant for racing. That I think Juddmonte are very good overall for racing. Like even with Frankel, they were good. Yeah. With lots of horses of theirs, they tend to keep racing. They don't have to. They could send her to stud. It's great for racing. I think it was unfortunate she got beat, and I do think it was the ground really. It was a pity, because she is a superstar, and obviously you'd like to see her unbeaten. But that's racing, you know.
It is. I wasn't that strict on the bell. I told you I wouldn't be. Right, licences. Joint licences this week announced by the BHA. You can put more than one name on a licence. Several trainers have already suggested that they will do it. Harry and Kira Fry and Claire and Daniel Kubler. Rafe, do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, it was put forward by the NTF. So it was an idea that came from the trainers themselves. I don't see any problem with it at all. As a training business, you know, there is a problem with succession anyway, and how you know, when you get to retiring age, or when you feel you've had enough, whichever comes first, how you then roll that business on, and this is a way of making that happen, you know, as well. And so I think it's only a positive, you know. I'm a long way, hopefully, a long way away from it. But if my children don't want to do it, and that's eminently possible, what happens next? You know, we'll start with a place and how we then make that work for us.
And you think it can work with assistants as well? You've seen it in Australia. Gay Waterhouse and others have moved an assistant in to share the licence. Dennis, is it something you'd ever consider?
I don't see why it couldn't work, but personally, for me, not that I'd want to go into partnership. I think we look at everyone's scenario is different. I'm lucky enough that I was handed a place to train. I've great support from my parents, and not everyone's in that position. So it depends where you're at, and don't see the problem with it, why it couldn't work. But personally, it wouldn't be for me. I think it's hard enough to do things as with one boss, but if it could get a bit divided if it was, the different opinions.
But clearly it is going to work for certain trainers, and the BHA have moved to make that happen this week.
If somebody gets banned, the wife can't suddenly take over anymore.
Well, I suppose that was the argument against it, but I think they've managed to iron out that wrinkle. Let's talk about Dundalk, because earlier in the programme, Rafe and Neil were talking about too much racing in Ireland. Trainers, Dennis, are saying there's too little racing, and they need more racing at Dundalk to service the rather bloated horse population. Yeah,
it's a big topic in Ireland at the minute. I don't know. It's a hard one. Like, be easy say put on more racing, but I suppose funding and everything else. Where do you stop? I gave up a couple of years ago. I used to be going on about this on Twitter and stuff.
But what was the thrust of your argument?
I suppose, yeah, that's it. I hadn't the facts, and now I have a little bit more. I used to think it was very easy for them all. There's 100 entries, put on another race, put on another meeting. Apparently the funding is not as easy as just put it on. They're only allocated a certain amount of days for the year, and when they lose a day, they have a day to put on somewhere else. But
when they've got to find the money.
Yeah, I don't think, to find the money, exactly.
And at the moment, you're in a luxurious position where the prize money is actually pretty good in Ireland.
That's it. When that was explained to me, I was like, well, would you rather be like tracks like Wolverhampton, Newcastle, wherever, all other tracks who have small prize money? Would you rather be going racing for a couple of thousand? We're in a lucky enough position in Ireland. We have good prize money. I wouldn't like to see it. You'd like to see it go up, not down, especially for the lower grade, because they are at the same level for the last couple of years. It's a hard one. Like, the thing is the funding and the race courses. There's the argument in Ireland that we need another all-weather. I'd definitely be in support of that.
Another all-weather track in Ireland?
Yeah.
More in the south?
Yeah. Well, probably biased because I'm in the south.
Somewhere near Tipperary. Somewhere there.
But it would, look at if it was on, if Dundalk put on another fixture, 3 fixtures a week, they'd have a full card, no doubt. But, like, where do you stop? Do we want... I know I would feel like I'd enter the horses and I'd run them. Equally, when it was explained to me, nobody wants racing for 0 to 50 horses.
Sure.
It's obviously racing's about the best horses, you know.
Aim up, exactly. The TV future now. Sir Anthony McCoy in the Daily Mail this week, a piece written by Laura Lambert in the Daily Mail, suggested that racing must stay on terrestrial television. We'll talk about this with Rod Street in a bit, because there is a delay in signing this new contract with ITV, and I think that they're getting a little bit jittery about that. Rafe, do you think it's absolutely crucial that racing stays on terrestrial TV, or if there was a big offer from a Sky or whoever to put it, would that balance out the lesser exposure or not? I don't actually know what I think. I don't know what the answer is to this.
I don't. I agree with you. I suppose the comparison is, has cricket been served by moving from Channel 4 to Sky? Did that do the sport good? Did it make cricket better for that move? I'm not sure, but what the answer is, like you. But I would hate to see it leave terrestrial television. I think the current team have done a fantastic job, and I think, you know, they promote the sport extremely well. So, in my view, no, it wouldn't be a good idea to move.
Neil?
I think you're right. Obviously, everything has a price. If there's a ginormous offer to go, you know, to a non-terrestrial TV, then that's good. But that's a short-term thing, isn't it? If you've got to think about the long term of the sport, I think with cricket it is a good example, really. People are sort of saying, you know, this World Cup was amazing and everything, but, you know, a lot of people couldn't see it. Young kids need to be able to see that to want to get into the sport. I think you can take a financial hit of getting less money into the sport to have it on terrestrial TV, and there's a premium in that, and it's just a question of how big the gap is, really. I think it can be quite big. I think it's quite important to have it on, you know, not necessarily ITV,
to have that
but
shop window.
Yeah.
No, I think I hear what you're saying. Let's talk a little bit about prize money, not just because Rafe's here, but because it has been in the news this week again, because it's not just the ARC tracks. It's a year nearly, hasn't it, since we discussed the ARC prize money cut on this show, and you were very vociferous about it, and the boycotts, etc. But it's rolling out across all the racecourses now, and some bigger ones as well. So now the Racing Partnership and our Racecourse Media Group have got an idea to try and make up that and the levy shortfall, the surprise levy shortfall, in another way. So what are we going to do? And how bad is it going to get?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how bad it's going to get, but it's the ripple effect of lack of prize money is felt everywhere. I think in the sale ring in the last couple of weeks, we've definitely seen that an effect there. The number of trainers buying horses on spec has dipped significantly, in my opinion. But that's a side issue. I think the bookmakers have, in recent years, have behaved disgracefully over, you know, using racing as a loss leader, and we're now feeling the effects of that. I think if they can pull off, if ARC and the Racing Partnership, as it's called, can pull off the card of charging them for on a
turnover basis
rather than gross profits, that will make a significant difference. The government have told the sport that we've got to help ourselves, and this is a way of showing the government that we are helping ourselves. And so, in the long run, this, if it happens, I think we may see help from the government as well, and then the whole thing gets to a point which is sustainable, because it isn't at the moment. That is a fact.
Happy news this week for customers of Mustard Bet, who are no longer trading. I must confess I hadn't heard of Mustard Bet, which is very bad, but you...
Well, not really. I mean, because the Mustard Bet to me is one of the most interesting things that's happened in bookmaking in the UK for a long time.
Even
but sadly,
I haven't heard of it.
Sadly, they've stopped trading this week. They haven't run out of money or anything like that. They just decided that they were banging their head against a brick wall, and that they'd carry on with their other things that they do. But one of the things that was quite interesting was that where we had the thing with BetBright, when they didn't run out of money but decided to stop being bookmakers, they decided that one thing they could do to save themselves a few quid was to keep all the anti-post money. And that eventually resolved itself, I think, and some people got their money and stuff. But Mustard said everyone that has an anti-post bet, we'll just settle it as a winner. Whether it was, whatever it was, you bet, you know, Leicester to win the league or something, we'll just pay you as if you've won. and then we won't have anyone slagging us off in the future as people and whatever, and we can go about our lives being happy.
It sounds an extraordinary situation. I mean, it makes you wonder why they ceased trading in the first place, doesn't it?
They specialised only in. They tried to run a Pinnacle model. So Pinnacle is this bookmaker in the Far East who basically they don't do horse racing, mostly football. But they basically betting on the theory that you put up a price to a small amount, kind of like an exchange. You tell people you can only bet this quite small amount, and as people start to bet into it and the market solidifies, they let you have a little bit more, a little bit more. And once you've had a bet, you can have another bet 3 seconds later, and another bet 3 seconds later, another bet 3 seconds later. And the software just keeps slightly changing the prices. And people sort of said, well, we got this thing in the UK where no one could get a bet on. I've only got 10 seconds. No one could get a bet on. Everyone moans about that all the time. And some people say, well, why don't you just change the prices and then you can take more bets? And that's how bookmaking used to work, rather than this idea that you just pursue absolute mugs and try and rinse them out, which is basically the way UK bookmaking's worked in the last few years.
Apart from the Newtote, of course. Which is...
yeah, of course. But I just think it's a bit sad that this is the first time someone's actually tried that model in the UK. Pinnacle did run here for a little while. I know I've gone over the time. And sadly it doesn't work, so we're just back to the kind of boring model that we've got really in bookmaking. I'm a bit sad at the demise of
applications for overrun of the programme coming in now. Right, those were this week's talking points. Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.